and welcome to another episode of Musso. We are your hosts, Hadi, Ngone, and Gemma. On this podcast, we share a microphone for fresh conversations on current affairs and women's realities beyond a single story. So, how are y'all doing today, Gemma and Ngone?
I don't know. I'm good. I'm okay, actually. I mean, it's been a long few days with everything that's happening around us, but I'm good, alhamdulillah.
Yeah. I'm well. I'm good. I don't know. I feel like every time we come in, we say, I'm good. We say, I'm good, and then we keep it moving. But alhamdulillah, I'm well. Just a whole lot of work, obviously. So a lot of things to do in so little time. But good.
I like that.
Mm. What's up? How are you enjoying Gambia?
I'm eating kama right now, so that's great. But I've been okay too. I mean, to speak to a little of my mindset, I'll tell you a story about what I did yesterday. I was eating rui at night, and then I salted it instead of putting sugar. I put two spoons of salt in the I put 2 spoons of haram in the rui.
You need to start packing. Gambia is not for you. You need to start packing.
Bro, I tasted this. I was like, what is going on?
So
not table salt.
It's not even table salt. Like, I just thought that it was crystallized sugar or something.
Wow.
And the sugar was right next to it too.
Wow.
And I made another bowl, and then that one I completely forgot to add sugar to. So that one I started
right after you time to go.
So guys, that is my mind state and my life so far.
Gambia does that to you.
I hope you're all doing better than me. But I actually think that is quite a good way to segue into our topic for today, which is on mentorship. And this is just me saying I need more than one mentor in my life at this point, because I think
you need a food mentor.
I need a food mentor. I need everything at this point. But yeah, so today we wanted to talk about mentorship, and we saw a quote that we felt like was quite relevant to this discussion, and it is by the great Whoopi Goldberg, and she says, "We are here for a reason. I believe a bit of the reason is to throw little torches out to lead people through the dark."
That is exactly what mentors do.
It's a whoop for Whoopi. I love it.
I love it too. I love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
I think it's great because I always think about I love my mentor, so I'll just start off with that. Shout out to Ramotula Jallo. She's amazing.
Hello.
Hi, Ramu.
And she listens to Musso.
She does. And for me, she has been, such a defining light in my life. From honestly, I just remember every single application that I've done for every single program, Ramotula has read it. Even if it's last minute, she's made it, she's made sure to shine little lights on things, and it's so important. But before we get into all of that, actually, I want to ask, what does mentorship mean to you?
I think for me, mentorship is exactly the way Whoopi Goldberg described it in that quote. It's your mentor is someone who shines a light in your way in the dark, to show you the path, especially in relation to, for me, it's like your career goals. For example, if it's a mentor for your career goals, your mentor would help you find a path to get to where you need to get to and basically make the journey easier. Because I also have a mentor, shout outs to Auntie Janet. And, I think she was a mentor who chose me instead of me choosing her. Somehow, yes, she chose me. And in the couple of years that we've had this mentor-mentee relationship, she's really helped me to see what I want to do. And she's provided guidance at every turn. I know I can pick up the phone and call her at any time of the day and say, this and this and this is what's going on. What do you think? And not only does she serve as a mentor, she also serves as a surrogate mother, sort of yeah. So yeah, I think for me, that's what mentorship is. Your mentor should be someone who can give you guidance that maybe you can't get from your friends or from your family members, because they have this independent, they come to you from an independent sort of position where they're not, there's nothing influencing you, no outside factors basically influencing your relationship. So they're able to help you see things in a clearer perspective, right? I think that's what it means to me now.
So I agree with that. For me, I think mentorship is about relationships. It's building relationships. It's building a genuine interest in someone, and more importantly, it's active. And it's not just the one-off stuff. That's what I have come to appreciate it as. And for me, I think I really sit on the other side. I can't really speak to the fact that I've had a mentor per se. You know, somebody who's been in my life for that period, constantly present, constantly active, constantly providing guidance. I don't think so. If there's anyone, maybe I would say it's my mom. Right?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, but then when you think about mentorship in that, for her, it's natural, right? It's a natural mothering role. It just happens that our paths are similar, and so I'm able to learn a lot. But even with her, like if you know my relationship with my mom, it's a lot of quiet learning and a lot of quiet guidance from her. So, but then like outside of her, I can't really speak of like having a mentor, whether professional or personal, who is actively involved, who I can go. So like the examples that you guys have given, no. So I'm usually able to just fall back on friends maybe.
Jama, I thought I was your mentor. I'm very hurt by this.
I thought I was your mentor.
Here's the thing. None of you has your stuff together. Living in the mentor. Like, you're both all over the place. How can you mentor each other?
So that's the thing for me. So like I haven't, and the reason why I say this, I've told all of the girls, like, don't call me your mentor, just call me your sister, right? Because I've moved away. There's a lot of things I'm understanding about what that relationship should be, but also because that's what I do. So for me, it's like being the mentor instead of being mentored. So yes, there are a lot of older women that I look up to, you know, that have been inspiring, that have provided advice here and there. But to say like I have an active mentor, I have not, because I've come to understand being a mentor, that it's more than just dropping pieces of advice here and there. It's an actual active investment in the person's life. And even when they say it as a professional mentorship, it goes beyond that. You know, it's about the whole person, who they are, what they do, everything that they're interested in. So yeah.
It's so funny you said that, because in my notes I just wrote like, for me to define a mentor, it's basically someone that contributes to your growth holistically.
Yeah.
So, because I'm thinking,
so it's not pieces. It's not pieces. Oh, I'm just gonna focus on this, and you can't. You know, the person shows up as who they are, and you take them for everything that they are. Yeah.
Because I know for me, like, some of my greatest flaws is one, I don't know when to stop. I'm always picking up new projects.
We know.
And and Awatulai is very big on, are you sure you can handle this? Like anytime I go to her, like, oh, I started this, I started that. She's like, that's great, but are you sure that this is in your capacity? And it's always a reminder to, like, you know, to stop and reflect and realize, okay,
it's
my
interesting. Because I know there was something I had shared, and you asked the same question. You asked the same, like, are you sure you have the capacity right now to do this?
I'm your mentor, Jama.
Yeah, I guess.
No words.
It's like, it's stuff like that. It's making sure that, you know, if I've been skipping too many therapy sessions, she'll ask me, have you, you know, how has your mental health been? Have you been taking the steps to make sure that, you know, you're not focused solely on school or other projects, but that you're taking time off, you're taking time to yourself. You know, it's a very gently guided relationship, and honestly, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Yeah. And it doesn't even, she now says that, like, we're switching roles in a bit, even though we're absolutely not. I am good for no one as a mentor, because I don't have it together. But then it's a reminder too that you don't necessarily have to have it together. Yeah. To
who has it
to be
together,
a guide, exactly. And she says that too. You don't have to have it together fully to be a guide in someone else's life.
I think the reality is we're all basically just
winging it,
right? So like you said, you don't have to wait until you have everything together, because in a mentor-mentee relationship, I think the mentor also learns from the mentee. You always do learn from them, because their experiences also teaches you something about yourself, right? So it's a give and take.
That's a give and take things, and that's what it means for me as well. It's a two-way thing, and that is why, there's a difference between somebody who supports you to do one thing here and there and somebody who's an active
part of your life.
You understand? And so for me, that's what it is. It's a two-way thing. And sometimes I think in general Gambia, people see it as your mentors teaching you, your mentors guiding you, your mentors giving you advice. But we don't see the other side, or we don't talk about it enough, about how you're also learning. Just by giving guidance, you probably also needed that guidance yourself.
Yeah.
And by sharing that, you're getting a lot more clarity in your head. But also it's a learning moment, because then you see somebody who's in a position where you were, and then and I always tell this to my girls, I'm like, I'm jealous of you guys because I did not have this when I was your age or when I was at this stage. But it's a mutual process. It's a mutual relationship. The learning happens both ways. The trust goes both ways. The vulnerability is both ways. But it's beautiful. It's essential.
So what's been like some of your favorite or defining moments as a mentor?
How can you ask me that question?
I mean, you're the chief mentor here.
I'm not. So that's the thing. For me, it's the learning, right? It's understanding just how much trust somebody has in you to come to you in their most vulnerable moments. You understand? Someone texting you at midnight, past midnight, with a personal problem, and they could have just. It's really humbling, and that's where my humility comes from.
You're humble.
That's what I have humility for. It's just
humble.
the realization that this is somebody who's in this position.
Wow.
It's a really difficult position. It's a hard moment, but I am the one that they thought of to come to and share this. And they're doing this because they feel like maybe I am a safe person to talk to, or maybe they can get away from there with a clearer head, more positive. So for me, to be honest, like I have a small group of them. We call ourselves, we have our Sunday Safe Space group. We're about 7. We're 7 people in that group. And it's a really close-knit group. And for me, it's been about learning around how do we do it as a group and support each other. You understand? So if I'm not there, because I had to learn to teach them as well, that this thing that we're doing is not about me. If I'm not here, it needs to continue. It needs to go on. So it goes from one-to-one mentorship to like a group support kind of setting. And for me that is really important, because I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. And so you don't want to build that, but obviously within the groups even you have your relationship with each one of them outside of the group, but then you're also trying to nurture. And I think that for me has been the highlight. It's being able to bring young people together with really similar interests as well. Really similar interests. So it's always wonderful when we sit together at the beach, for example, just sharing, and you have someone like Fatima who's the tiniest among us just leading the whole conversation. I sit back and I say, this is beautiful.
I think that's so important, because one of the traits of a really great mentor is instilling autonomy in your mentees. So they're not dependent on you forever, but then you see them grow, and obviously they'll still consistently make the choice to want to come back and learn from you, but then they should still be sufficient enough, but from your guidance and from your tutelage.
And sometimes you don't even necessarily have to be physically present, because based on the relationship you've built with them, depending on the situation, they can actually predict what you would say or what advice you would give in a certain situation, and they would act based on that.
And I think the other highlight, which is really beautiful, so they got to, some people might be listening to this and think, small Haley, they were like, yes, they're right about how nanga message jama danko ampul message WhatsApp, message ko Twitter, message ko LinkedIn, message ko name formula reply. And then one time we were having our Sunday meetups, and they were like, we've come to a point where we understand that you're also human, and you don't always have the time. You also have your own issues that you're dealing with, so now we understand you. When we send a message, we're not. So we developed a system. And like, if it is urgent, write at the start of the meeting, the message, and then we'll get it. And for me, like, that really touched me, because I rarely get that. Usually it's people expecting you to always show up. But not many people stopping to think, Kitam nitla, muge deal with issues. So they've also allowed me to just be able to open up to them and speak to them about the things that I'm going. I remember when my uncle died, and they would just insist on me speaking, because they were like, so one thing they said was, we keep seeing you post this picture on your status every day, so you're not okay. And I said, no, this is how I am grieving, this is how I'm coping, but they're always like, do you want to talk about it? It's okay if you cry, you know. So we've just been able to have that space where we're able to be vulnerable with each other. Obviously we're at different levels, but it's a space that's safe enough for us to just be vulnerable to each other, and they mentor me as well. So you're like my mentor.
Yeah, they sound like they're your mentor and you're the mentee.
They're my mentors.
Well, Jama, I can see that, I'm clearly not that important to you as a mentor.
Well, you two are important as well.
No, I wanted to be the main mentor in your life, but
I'm looking for one though. I mean, you guys know that's one of my
here.
goals for 2021.
Right
It's to have a mentor.
Me too, I'm a comms expert,
But Hadi, you're all over the place. Why are you
Hadi is
cutting?
doing her PhD, Hadi is doing her consultancies, Hadi is doing her Pilates, Hadi is doing
Therapy.
Hadi is everywhere.
And then she wants to mentor someone. Have shame. Have shame. I'm a jump.
Anyways, clearly I'm around my haters, but it's fine. So I'm gonna ask you this question. With what you were talking about your relationship with Auntie Janet and all of that, how do you see yourself paying it forward?
I mean, I think I'm currently paying it forward like little by little, small, danka. But I don't necessarily have a official like mentor-mentee relationship with another person. But I have people with whom, like Gemma said, they text you in the middle of the night saying this and this is what's going on, whether it's professional or personal or things like that. And they listen to you, they expect, you to give advice or guidance with whatever they're dealing with. And, it happens vice versa as well. These are also people who I know. In talking to them about whatever they're dealing with, I also learn about stuff that I am dealing with. So, and I intend on paying it forward more because you have a lot more young female lawyers coming up, getting called to the bar and stuff. And, they would say to you things like, oh, you're such an inspiration. I look up to you. I do this, I do that. And I always tell them, like, I'm always available, especially if you're in law school, you need help with school. I have people randomly text me, can I have your notes from law school? Or I'm having issues with this topic. I'm having issues with that. Can you help? And I help. So these are like, they're not fixed. They're one-off things. But these are people who always, keep coming back. Ni nga fiyee naar bi xoromam rek mooy li la keneen defal yow it nga def loolu noonu for someone else and even more if you can. So that is really how I intend to pay it forward. I wish and pray that I get to a point where I can be like a full-on mentor to a lot of young women who, are in need of the guidance that I necessarily didn't have when I was going through this journey.
Yeah. And you, doctor?
I don't know if I can call it any kind of full-time mentoring because also I've realized that I don't have the capacity for a lot of things. But
you do?
Still doesn't stop you from taking more things, but that's another story.
I read people's essays. If there's one thing I'm good at, if any young girls are applying for stuff or just necessarily need someone to help you, I'm not saying I'm good at I'm better than going at the English language. Let's just put it that way.
Levels.
No, but I've started trying to cultivate that relationship, especially when I see young Gambian girls, because I've spoken to a lot that are in public health, and I'm actually very proud of myself because people don't realize that to work in health you don't necessarily have to just be a doctor.
Yeah.
And I've kind of steered a lot of young girls away from medical school.
Such a terrible person.
No, but we need a balance.
Sorry to your parents who expected you to be in STEM fields, but
you can still tell them it's
still a STEM field.
It's not.
It's the same.
It's a social science.
Structure.
I'm team social science. I'll just put it that way, very strongly.
But we need more of that, especially for Gambia. So
we do.
Yeah, you.
So you can be doctors in other ways, but just you don't have to necessarily follow the traditional path. And I think that's one thing that I know that I've tried to instill in a lot of young women I've met, that you can choose what path you want to be on. As long as, my thing is always, you just have to be great at it. Actually, you don't even have to be great, but just choose what you want to do and be dedicated to it. And that's really it. So I know people do call me a mentor, but I don't know if I've really, really fully stepped into that role. And I'm not Ramatullah or Auntie Janet yet. But I'm finding, my little ways of paying it forward is just trying to be there and offer like any kind of public health advice if you want to get into the field, if you want to get into honestly social science in general, or if you need someone to read your essays for school, for grad school, for any of that. That's like the one thing that I know that I will always offer help in.
And I think for me, that's how it starts, really. I mean, it's not a whole my mentor and that kind of stuff, you know. For me as well, for most of them, that's how it started. It's that whole relationship of providing support here and there, and then you get to a point where you know, oh, we click, we can go forward. You know you can give more to that person knows they can get, you know, more, but also give more, and there's a relationship there. Because for me, I think that's how all of, you know, my relationships with all of them started. And I really feel you on the issue of using the mentor tag. It made me uncomfortable for a very, very long time. And that is why I've told all of them, stop calling me a mentor. We're all sisters, you know. Because it made me so uncomfortable. But also there was the pressure of, I need to show up for these people. You know, they're calling me their mentor. I need to show up. I need to be present. So for me, it was that whole idea of doing the collective thing and having them also understand, I'm learning from you as well. You're doing for me what I am doing for you, and so moving away from that. But obviously, it's hard to get that out of people's heads, especially from people outside. I remember when I did that interview on QTV, you know, the Youth of the Month thing, and Jenna was talking about IJ. You know, you are Aunt Aisatu's mentor, and look at where she is now. And I had to clarify that on TV. I'm like, Aisatu's her own person. You understand? She's an amazing, amazing woman with such well-rounded capacities I can't even begin to imagine. You understand? You know, so I hate it when that happens, when like somebody who's within my circle, somebody who's my friend or my sister or something, has their own achievements and it's being linked to me simply because they have a relationship. So that's why sometimes it can be really uncomfortable. But yeah, I mean, we navigate it, and then we get to arrive at a position together where it's comfortable for everyone.
Jamal, I think that's a really, really, really great way to put it. And I think that is also a great time to take a break.
Yep.
So we will be right back, y'all. Don't go nowhere. We're back. So back like we never left, y'all. We back. But going into this, continuing this topic of mentorship, why is it important specifically for women to find mentors?
I think as women, it's important to find a mentor because a lot of us are going into fields that are male dominated, and because of that, there's rarely, you know, a person in that field who would understand your fears, your challenges, you know, as a woman, right? I think for me, maybe this may be biased point of view, but I think usually it takes a woman who has gone through those challenges to understand what you would be facing in whatever profession you're choosing, especially if it's, you know, if you're in a STEM field, or if you, like, for us, legal practitioner, a lot of the senior lawyers are men because, you know, for a long time, men were going to school, they were becoming lawyers and getting enrolled and stuff. We have senior legal practitioners who are women, but, you know, in comparison to men, they're few. So I think it's important for a woman, like I said, to always find someone who can advise you, because whatever challenges you're facing, they would know. For example, if it's sexual harassment you would be dealing with in your field, that woman would have very likely encountered that, and they would have handled it in a way in which, you know, they can say to you, okay, this and this and this is what you do, this and this is what you do to avoid this. I remember when I first started doing my pupillage with Auntie Janet, one of the first discussions we had was related to that, to sexual harassment, and how as a woman, as a young female lawyer, you have to have a certain way to carry yourself. If not, because you're a woman. And also because, if you dress a certain way or if you interact with people a certain way, it gives them leeway to be inappropriate with you, to basically instill boundaries in your relationships with people. And for me, that was very important because the legal practice is one where, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, so, conversations like that, I necessarily wouldn't have had with a male mentor, for example. And I know for sure that my colleagues who were working with men did not have those kind of conversations, but she was able to have that conversation with me because she has possibly lived through it and she knows what it is like for a young female lawyer. So things like that are the reason why I feel like as a woman you need to find a mentor, especially if you're going into a male-dominated field.
And I think for me it's important, even beyond the male-dominated field, just a professional journey it can be a really tough one. And I think it's why this whole time and I've even tweeted about it, like, I want a mentor. This is one of my goals for 2021. Because you get to a certain point where you need the guidance. It's like you've been doing things, yes, independence, yes, try to do and figure out your way, but you get to certain points where sometimes you're in a dilemma, even with your career, about where you want to go, what direction you want to take, what decisions you're going to make, you understand? And so I found myself at that point where it's like, I had so many decisions to make. I wish I had somebody I could just run to and say, this is where I find myself. And for me, I think that's really what it is about. It's about how you can learn from someone else's experience, and it comes back to the whole intergenerational thing. And this is why I'm big on it, right? There's so much we can avoid just by learning about the mistakes that other people make. But there's also so much we can achieve and do just by watching how they have excelled and the things that they were able to achieve, the positive things that they were able to achieve for themselves. And for me, I think that's what we need. But also because I'm really big on finding your tribe, and this is where that comes from as well. Finding your tribe of women within your field, outside of your field, just people you share the same values with or similar values with, that you can fall back on, that you can trust, that you can open up to, that you can be vulnerable with. That for me is the significance, because at some point you really need someone to hold your hand and tell you, just tell you it's gonna be okay, or you've got this. At some point you need that. And so for me, mentorship is a really, really important part of and I see like what it does for people. And every girl, especially young girls, young women, find a mentor.
I think go ahead.
No, I liked the part where you talked about career choices, because I remember when I was at the CRC, Auntie Janet was also there as a commissioner. Sorry, you're going to hear her name a lot, but whatever.
This is for our mentors.
Yes. So, I had this job offer from a separate institution that was offering twice my pay, right? And I was really tempted to take it. But because at that time I was juggling pupillage and CRC, and if I were to take that job as well, it would have been very hectic and I would have had to give up one, and it would have very likely been CRC. But then, before I made that decision, I called her, even though she was my employer as a pupil. I called her and I was like, I interviewed for this position. I just did it because someone recommended me, and they've now offered me the job and blah, blah, blah. And I want to take it, but what do you think? And she was like, I think before you take a job, you have to look at, for example, your CV, what stands out better in your CV. And you should never be in a hurry to go, a certain way when there is more that you can learn here, and whatever you're doing here at CRC at that time would have more value on your CV than that job. So, yeah. So we had this whole lengthy conversation together, and she gave me really good advice, and that was very helpful. So yes, you always need that too, because they have been there and they know sometimes it's tempting to want to quit one thing for another, but then they're able to advise you to look at what's good on your CV, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. So yeah.
For me, I think because Ramatola is only like 5 years older than me. So she started mentoring me even when I was younger than what she was around my age or younger when she started mentoring me. And it's so interesting because I want to go into consulting. I kind of have already started that journey, but seeing her as a young woman, you know, already doing consultancies, it made me realize that, you know what, I can do it too. Because when you hear about consulting, you think people that are like
70 years experience.
They've worked their whole lives, and then after they retire, you know, after they give up the whole 9 to 5, I did my time, all of that, that's when they get into it. But no, she showed me that it was very, very possible to start it at a young age.
And make it your full time.
And make it, and make it your thing. No matter how difficult it is. And so seeing her do it gave me the confidence to be like, you know what, I can do it too. So yeah, just seeing that, you know, she's able to do all that is amazing, because it's given me the confidence of a man who is not really good at what, you know, men, they just do things even if they're not good at it. But
this is the truth on men, huh?
I'm sorry, the agenda has to agenda. The agenda must agenda. But I'm just saying, I think for a young woman, it's so important to see that other young women are able to do things. Because you can have ambitions, but then they always tell you that, okay, whatever ambition you have, it needs to be an ambition below a man. If you want to be president, you know, they did Nickel vice president. Whatever you want to be, like, it has to be a step below.
And it's always mediocre men daring to do the craziest things, and you have these smart, brilliant young women.
Have you seen a man that is not mediocre?
True.
Thank you.
Continue.
About the mentorship.
So, this actually leads me to the next question. Is a mentor simply someone that's in your field, or can you have a mentor that's outside of your field? Like, how necessary do you think that a mentor has to be to, you know, how necessary is it for a mentor to be in your field?
I think you can have both, right? You can have one professional, and then you can have one personal life. And then sometimes, if you're lucky, you can have one who fits in both roles, right? But yeah, your mentor doesn't necessarily have to be someone just for your professional career, because let's be honest, life is hard. And, you know, we're all just winning it, just BSing our way through it. And it always helps to have someone to talk to, especially if they're an older person who has had more experience than you. So even in life itself, Dal, you always need someone to talk to. They could be your friend, they could be someone who plays a big sister role to you, or if you have a big sister, that could be them. But yeah, you can have either of those, or you can have two in one person. Yeah,
I think the 2-in-1 works best for me. Because when I was thinking about, okay, I want a mentor, I'm going to find someone, that's what I was thinking of. I was really thinking about somebody who is an African feminist woman, but who also works in comms, who does work around gender. So somebody who kind of has my profile, because that's, the thing is as well, at that intersection, you don't find a lot of people, especially African women, you know, so the journey can be really, really tough. It can be really, really lonely. And so for me, that's what it is about. I would prefer, you know, somebody who shares similar interests. So it might not necessarily be the exact same things that I do, you know, but just somebody who shares similar interests, who shares similar values. But yeah, I don't think your mentor has to be somebody, you know, within your field. If you're looking for a professional mentor, I guess professionalism is universal in a way. It's an extra bonus if it's somebody in your field, because then they understand the inner workings of the profession. But also they're able to mention your name in certain rooms. They're able to give you a leg up, and that is important as well as part of mentorship. So that helps in that case. But I think it's really about finding the person that you trust and the person who fulfills that role for you. That's really the most important part.
Yeah, I think that is very, 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 very important. Because I'm also thinking, if I ever wanted to go into academia as a black woman, it will be very hard to like find a mentor who will hit all the boxes of what I want to do and what I want to be in. So I think as long as they're well-rounded enough and conscious enough to, like, you know, and empathetic enough to help you in how you need to be helped, it's good. Because even now, sometimes I look at my supervisors as mentors, but we're like, you know, we're all public health, we're not necessarily doing the same kind of research and the same kind of work, but they're still able to ask the right questions that will lead me to the answers that I'm looking for. So
Yeah. I think the general direction is important.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be specific down to the
as
details.
long as they're able to give you guidance
Yeah.
when you need it, as you need it.
Yeah.
I think.
But the most important is somebody who actually wants to be in your life.
Exactly.
In that way. You know, that's the most important thing.
They're willing
me.
to be honest with you and everything.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there are some truths that your mentor would tell you wouldn't want to hear. You'd be like, "Kiluma wahni," but you need someone who'd, call you out on your whatever, and
sometimes they're the only ones who can do that as well.
I'm just thinking of all the times that Matula has called me out.
We're buying her a gift after this.
I'm telling you, whenever, when you're writing applications or essays and they always ask you for your weaknesses, she's always the first person I'll go to, like, can you tell me what my weaknesses and strengths are? Because she's able to see that more than I'm able to see it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So shout out to our mentors, shout out to our mentees. Ramotula, I love you very much. Shout out your mentor.
Yes, our auntie.
And then Jama, you too, shout out your mentees.
And her
Sending
mentors.
a lot of love. First, my number one mentor, obviously. So yeah, since I've embraced her as my mentor, my mom. I was gonna say you.
How do you look?
She was sitting up like
number one mentor. Where am I?
That's actually joke talk. I wish you guys could see her. She sat up before Jama, expecting to hear Hadisi say. No.
So my mom, really everything that I have learned, a lot of my journey is based on what I have seen her do and how I've seen her conquer. But also sending a lot of love to this group of girls that is, they've changed my life. They've grounded me. They've been able to, embrace me as one of their own. So Aisatu Jalo, Alicia, Fatu Jang, who I've stolen from Go, Fatundur, Fatima, Madeline, and Sukai, and also Zainabu Jalo. I love you guys so much. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your love, and thank you for holding me in the times that I needed the most.
Aww.
She can be sweet sometimes, you guys.
Sweet person. You guys just love yahaing my dad, but it's fine.
Whatever. So how would you go about looking for a mentor? Jama, I know you're looking to find one. So what has the process been like for you? Where have you been looking? I'm very interested in that.
It's on pause because of COVID-19.
Nothing in her life is serious. Nothing.
It's on pause because of COVID-19. No, but I've been actively looking, and I feel like for me it's been about finding somebody that I can really vibe with, but somebody who also doesn't see me as you're because that's the challenge that I realized I was having. You know, so it's like you're head of Lee, blah blah blah. You've done this and you've done that. You've done that. So it's really hard for somebody to see you and see you as a person that's still vulnerable, that still needs help, that still has a long way to go. So for me, it's been about finding somebody who understands that, who understands my needs, someone who is willing to be there to support, and I guess like Go has said, who's chosen me as well. So it's really two ways. It's about who chooses you and who you choose. So for me, I think it's really important to find somebody who shares, similar values, somebody who's able to keep you grounded, someone who will be honest with you when you need to, someone who's going to tell you what you need to hear. But I think it's also finding somebody who is you as the person who's looking for a mentor. It's also understanding that you have an active role to play, so don't depend on your mentor to make decisions for you. For example, what they can provide is guidance, what they can provide is advice, but always try to make sure the decisions you make are your decisions. And so for me, I think getting into that, it's a commitment as well on both parts. You're committed to being open and transparent as much as possible and as much as you're comfortable doing. So for me, find your person. There's someone out there for you, and it could be more than one person. So find your people, find your tribe. Everyone needs somebody to hold their hands as we journey through this world. And when you get to a point where you're able to do that as well, pay it forward.
I think for me, it's exactly what Jama said, but especially the part about somebody, Kohamne, your values align. You have similar values, because that is really important. You can't take advice from someone who has opposite views as you, especially in terms of the choices that you should make. And this is important if you're someone, Kohamne, integrity and things like that are very important to you. You can't have a mentorship relationship with someone who does not hold those things as valuable dal. So yeah, find someone with whom your values align, because then it makes it easier to build a relationship with them.
As I think as a lot of young girls and women, we all suffer from imposter syndrome and from not asking what we're worth. And I know that my mentor has helped me in that, in terms of like, if every time I go to her with an offer for something, even though I'll think it's big money, she'll be like, ask for more. So it's someone that will always push you to do more than it'll make you don't realize how capable you are until someone else sees it in you and then pushes it out. So when you're looking for someone as a mentor, don't look for someone that's just okay with you being at where you are, but that they should be willing to push you forward into heights that you didn't even think that you were capable of reaching. Anyways, we're going into my favorite segment.
Our favorite segment.
I don't know about you,
just because I didn't
yes
hear me out.
Yes.
So this is why you can't be my mentor. You know, violence.
Hadi wakes up every day and chooses violence without fail. Without fail. Two people
I need tender loving care.
Two people I know who would always wake up and choose violence. Hadi Sise and Katho. Every day you choose violence.
Short women, it's a thing. It's a thing for us.
It's not even a surprise that you're married to each other. So
thank you. If she takes me back, Katho, if you're listening, please take me back. But so today's Musso of the week. I will give Ngo the honor of presenting her, but she's been talking about her all day, but she's also like someone that's very important to me too. But Ngo, go ahead.
Yes. Anyway, our Musso of the week, if you haven't guessed it already, is Auntie Janet Salanjai, Senior Legal Practitioner, former Solicitor General, Commissioner CRC, drafter of women's rights legislations in this country, founder of the Female Lawyers Association of the Gambia. We could just keep going and going and going.
Her name.
But yes, first of her name, Borom Toro the Chamber, Salalam Toro. Yes. But yeah, Auntie Janet is someone who has dedicated her life to fighting for women's rights, to, using her profession and her skills to improve the rights of women, working on access to justice, just doing incredible things for Gambian women, and also serving as a mentor to a lot of young Gambian lawyers. Even before me, I know of quite a few female lawyers, whom she has provided some form of mentorship to. And her doors are always open to young people, young women to come and learn from her. She teaches you, gives you access. And for me, on a personal level, I'm truly grateful to her for choosing me to bring me under her wing and to give me guidance, because this came at a time when I really needed guidance, because you're coming into the legal profession, right? And everyone expects you to take this direction. But she was someone who actually listened to me to see what I wanted to do with my career, and always offered advice, gave me chances to prove myself, challenged me all the time. Because if you know me, I have imposter syndrome, like serious imposter syndrome. But she always was there to provide guidance and to always challenge me. And, so this is my way, or our way, of saying, Auntie Janet, thank you for everything you have done for Gambian women and everything you continue to do for Gambian women. We're grateful to you. We're grateful for you. And, Yarama Dal. Yes.
Thank you.
We love you.
We love you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
From your Yabate girls.
Yeah, from your Yabate girls.
All right, so thank you so much for tuning in today. We hope you guys enjoyed listening to this episode. We definitely had a lot of fun recording it. We hope episode be better than horom.
I should try that.
Y'all are not funny.
I
don't like
limong in Rui, but horom.
It was a mistake. It was a simple mistake.
Were you not wearing your glasses?
I was.
Wow.
Sometimes you have to learn from your mistakes, innit?
Anyway.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure, coming together and sharing our many thoughts with you all. And so we would also love to hear your thoughts. What has mentorship looked like for you? Do you have any mentors that you want to send some love? You can do that on social media with our hashtag Mussopod. That's hashtag MUSSOPOD. And obviously, you can also contribute to the conversation on some of the points that we've been talking about. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram at Musso Pod. And we absolutely we do group readings of your feedback.
Yeah.
And we really love the feedback that we've been receiving. Thank you all for supporting. Let's keep engaging on our socials.
Yes.
Yeah.
As always, thank you, Ibu from Right Click and just all of Right Click in general. Y'all are amazing and so patient with us. We appreciate it. And again, thank you all for listening, and we hope to see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.